treacherous forces that were wreaking the fire upon them, pushed with Satan. This was the mother of all battles that had been begun, but through it all, Saddam Hussein maintains that the truth will triumph against the evil. Faithful are carrying the torch of Islam. One might preclude that again, he's trying to exhort a holy war, jihad. In fact, the word jihad is used toward the end of the address. But here, you could suggest that he is trying to call together the Arab world, and rather than standing alone in this, referring numerous times to the criminal, also the traitor, King Fahd, for at this point housing the Allied forces on airways. That the king will rot in hell, God is with us, poisonous hornet's nest, putting together Tel Aviv, and Golan Heights will be taken back. All of this carried on Baghdad radio not all that long ago. Saddam Hussein making that address, as I say, what clearly sounds like a jet going overhead. We have been waiting for about 10 minutes now for Mikhail Gorbachev to take an address, and that will be should be coming to us. We simply are waiting for it right now, and as soon as 15 minutes from now, I am told now that we can look forward to the Mikhail Gorbachev address to come in. So let's go now to Jonathan Mann.
Patrick, a war of words coming from Baghdad, also a much more real war of men and machines. For more now on the changing military situation, let's go to Jeff Levine, standing by live at the Pentagon. Jeff?
Good morning, Jonathan. We understand from Pentagon officials we might be getting our first look at some combat video a bit later today. The warplanes involved in Desert Storm were all equipped with cameras to record their assaults. This material will be put together in the first phase in Saudi Arabia, will be satellited back here to the Pentagon. In fact, that's probably going on now. Pentagon officials will be going through a security review, of course, of that material, and ultimately they will provide the news media with a highlight reel. As you said, we should be getting that a bit later today. Pentagon officials, of course, feel that they have a very positive story to tell. And earlier, Secretary of Defense Stephen Cheney painted a very positive picture.
John Major, the British Prime Minister, has been...
The preliminary reports we have received in terms of the success of the operation, and that includes possible.
Gary Matsumoto, just an hour ago, spoke to an F-15 pilot here at this very large air base in northeastern Saudi Arabia, who confirmed that he had been in aerial combat in a dogfight with an Iraqi mate, and that he had come out on the winning side of that and shot that Iraqi plane down. So the first confirmation we have, Garrick, that there is actual air-to-air combat going on in support of these bombing rates.
Captain, thank you for that late report. As you say, is the first confirmation from an American pilot himself that there had been a dogfight and an Iraqi plane had been shot down. We heard earlier in the crew report from another pilot that Iraqi jets had taken off and fled north for safety, that those Iraqi planes did not want to engage the American or the Allied forces in aerial combat, but obviously this one Iraqi pilot was prepared to do that. Well, that's the situation and the report from Arthur Pink, Saudi Arabia. Mary Alice?
And the Pentagon, the official conduit of information about the battle going on now, has had a bit of a lid on. Bob Hager is standing by at the Pentagon. Bob Hager is also an aviation expert. Bob, let's talk about the aircraft deployed out there in the desert. I'm told that even without a cloud cover, they're flying so high that you can scarcely hear them or see them when they come in on bombing runs. Is that true?
That would be true, but that wouldn't go to the accuracy of their missions. They have all kinds
no
of
cloud cover, Bruce.
I heard that.
Heads-up sort of gear where they can watch their targets even through the cloud cover, through fog and all kinds of adverse weather conditions. So you can never completely rule out weather as a factor. I mean, it is always best to be able to see the target, but you can still operate and operate well even when you can't see the target.
Have you gotten any information there at the Pentagon about how the satellite scans are going?
No, nothing at all on that yet, but I would think that by this time, commanders must have a pretty good idea. I don't think that it takes long to get the preliminary analysis from those pictures, so they must have a very good idea at this early stage of just how well they did yesterday, combining that with the early pilot reports said before most of them went home for a few hours sleep that they were very, very encouraged at the way this thing started off. As I say, we're in the early stages. And some of these pilots now, some of those recent interviews that we've heard, at least are reporting that the Iraqis did react. They aren't completely into the force. The one pilot talked about getting a lot of anti-aircraft fire when he got over Baghdad, and the other fellow there just talked about the big scrambling up and engaging in a dogfight. Saddam Hussein, there's no sign at all that he's after throwing the towel in the early stages of this thing. So we're in for many tough days here of air war, I would think.
What is your view of the significance of the French Air Force now being involved?
Well, I think that's a very hopeful sign. I mean, we certainly, I noticed the absence of the mention of the French when at the briefing last night. They told who was involved in the early raid, and they only gave the positive side, said the British and the Saudi Arabians and the Kuwaitis and the United States today engaged tonight in this joint effort while the French were missing. So I think it's important from the American side that they're a part of it now. But there again, on that French report, they took fire. As I said, 12 French planes went out to attack an Iraqi Air Force base, and 4 of them were hit by Iraqi anti-aircraft fire. The initial reports didn't indicate that the aircraft were disabled, however.
All right, thank you, Robert Hager at the Pentagon. We're very just quickly going to go back to Arthur Kent in Saudi Arabia. What have you got, Arthur?
Mary Alice, we just heard from some officials here in Saudi Arabia, claims, and we're waiting for confirmation on them, that the only 2 major air bases in Kuwait have been knocked out. They would have been taken out by cratering bombs dropped by tornado aircraft, and in support of those aircraft flying this morning, Kuwaiti planes. But again, that would be a very strategic loss to Iraqi forces in Kuwait.
Is it safe to say that the second phase of this battle would not have been launched had they not had a pretty good idea of the success of the first strike?
You can see that a very highly synchronized, highly planned operation has taken place since the early hours of this morning. The entire atmosphere around those officials that we have been in contact with, and the airmen that we have seen in the visual reports coming back from the pools under Pentagon supervision, has been one of confidence. Clearly that they have adopted the doctrine which had been expected, that they would go in with overwhelming force and eliminate every and all hostile anti-aircraft and aerial asset that Saddam had to throw at the coalition forces.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Kent in Saudi Arabia. And since the war began last night, much of the world has been glued to television. Some people are watching with even greater concerns. There are, of course, the families of American soldiers who are most interested in what's happening in the Gulf. At Fort Stewart, Georgia, with some military wives, is Kelly Jones.
Among those watching the president's speech were the wives of 2 members of the 24th Infantry Division, one of the American ground units in Saudi Arabia. Sidney Roth's husband is a tank company commander. The husband of Claire Blanchard is a battalion mechanic. I talked to them after the speech.
He sounds like our country's behind us, and that's what's important to us right now. They need to know. I agree with Cindy.
I guess they'll launch the missiles at around maybe 140 or something like that. And the New Day is talking about where is it?
I think one last phone call would have been okay.
What's that?
One last phone call to
And that's going to be at New Day for their time.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt.
I see.
I noticed when he said at the top of his speech that no ground forces.
I see. So they'll probably launch it at like 40 in about 20 minutes. Then. We'll start hearing about it in 20 minutes.
Is there sort of a sense of relief that finally something has started, even though I realize it's very dangerous, but I mean, was the waiting the hardest part?
Not knowing was the hardest part. When they were getting ready to leave, we didn't know when they were going to leave, and after they left, we didn't know when they were coming back. And we can now observe life somewhere. I don't know. But do. We don't, we just don't know. Take one day at a time.
Emily Jones, NBC News, Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Some pride, some, anxiety, and definitely some feelings for George. Yeah?
Mary Alice, we've gone events here in the Persian Gulf, not just the military events, but also what's going to come out of this. And within Iraq, that part of the world, there are more than Iraqis. There is the Kurdish nation, a country of their own, but they are people apart, their own identity. And we want to talk a bit about what may happen to them. Talk with Hoshiar Jubari, who is in London this morning. So Jubari is spoken to the Iraqi Kurdistan Front. Good morning, sir. What do you think is going to come out of this as far as you, the Kurds, are concerned?
Well, I must say that we feel sad and sorry for the event to have reached this level. But at the same time, I have to say that this is all the doing of Saddam Hussein. As far as we are concerned, throughout this crisis, we have had a self-restraint policy. But we believe that as long as Saddam Hussein is in power, neither the Kurds or any other section of the Iraqi society will enjoy any peace or freedom.
Now, in the past, sir, Saddam Hussein had made promises of Kurdish independence, and we know what happened. He used poison gas, chemical warfare against your people. What is the size, what is the state of the Kurdish people today in Iraq?
But the Kurds represent 4 million in Iraq, and they occupy north and northeastern part of the country. And we have been in constant conflict with the Iraqi central government for a kind of regional autonomy and for democratic rights. Saddam Hussein has launched a genocidal
To among the sins, to name a few. Too many people forget to pray. That's why the world is like it is today. God is ready to give a helping hand, but he must be asked, you understand. So this old world must learn to pray for divine help from day to day. Graveyard baby, poor little baby, who put you there on that lonely grave so cold and bare? Just a few hours old, wrapped in a blanket, left out in the cold. You couldn't have made it if a dear kind lady just passing by hadn't found you, baby, when she heard you cry. To keep you warm, her coat she gave. To keep you from harm, with you she stayed. When the ambulance finally arrived, the aides named you Little Grace, for by the grace of God you survived a tragic death on that lonely grave. Mother of grace, how can you sleep? Don't you see her face so pretty and sweet? Don't you yearn to hold her tight? Don't you squirm in the middle of the night? When you recall your cruel sin, her umbilical cord closed with your bobby pin, the lonely grave where you left her wrapped in the towel you gave for her body to cover. Good luck to you, baby Grace. May God be with you all through life to keep you healthy, happy and safe, and free from all human suffering and strife.
Yep.
Our neighbor, on Wednesday, March the 6th,
I'm gonna get you on video here, Grandpa.
You're going to get me on video?
I'm gonna try to. Well, Grandpa, what do you think of the world situation?
Well, it all depends on the way you see things.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You don't have to. You can walk around if you want. This thing can. Yeah.
You know, that's the first time I've ever seen me on a TV.
Oh, I have a videotape of you at home. On an old videotape. This is a new one.
I surely look Like a grandpa there, don't it?
Well, what do you expect? You're almost 90 years old, for crying out loud. 90. Just think 10 years from now, you'll be 100.
Maybe.
I think you're gonna make it. I think you're gonna make it. How much do you want to bet you're gonna make it?
I wouldn't.
Oh, you don't want to bet because yeah.